If you've been taking magnesium for weeks and still struggling with poor sleep, muscle cramps, anxiety, or that restless, wired but tired feeling at night, the supplement is probably not the problem. The dose is, and the form is. Most people taking magnesium right now are doing two things that guarantee it will not work, and neither one is on the label. Today I am going to explain both, show you exactly what is happening inside your brain and muscles when magnesium is low, and give you the practical information you need to actually get results. Let us start with the number that is printed on almost every magnesium bottle sold today. Turn over any magnesium supplement and you will see a recommended dose of around 350 to 420 milligrams. Most people assume that number was designed to make them feel better, to improve sleep, reduce cramping, calm anxiety. It was not. That number is called the RDA, the Recommended Dietary Allowance, and the RDA for magnesium was calculated for one specific purpose: to prevent serious deficiency diseases like seizures in otherwise healthy individuals. It is a survival threshold, not a therapeutic target. Here is the actual definition of RDA. The average daily intake sufficient to meet the nutrient requirements of healthy individuals. Healthy individuals. People without sleep problems, without muscle cramps, without chronic anxiety or tension. If you have any of those symptoms, your body's demand for magnesium is already elevated above what the RDA assumes. Add in coffee, processed food, chronic stress, or regular exercise, all of which deplete magnesium faster, and that gap widens further. There is another issue with the RDA number specifically. It was established in 1997 and calculated based on average body weights that no longer reflect the reality of most adults today. When researchers have recalculated the baseline amount for current average body weights, the number comes out significantly higher, before even accounting for the additional demand from health conditions or lifestyle factors. Clinical research on magnesium's effects on anxiety, blood pressure, sleep quality, and muscle function has consistently used doses of 600 to 800 milligrams daily, sometimes higher, and maintained those doses for weeks or months before measuring outcomes. Taking 400 milligrams for 2 weeks and concluding that magnesium does not work is like filling a depleted reservoir with a garden hose and turning it off after 10 minutes. The reservoir is still empty. The intervention just was not large enough or long enough. The second issue, and this one affects almost everyone, is the form of magnesium being used. The most widely sold magnesium supplement is magnesium oxide. It is cheap, compact, and fits a high milligram dose into a single small capsule. Those are the reasons manufacturers use it. Here is the problem. Magnesium oxide has an absorption rate of approximately 4%. That means a 400 milligram magnesium oxide capsule delivers roughly 16 milligrams of actual magnesium to your body. The remaining 384 milligrams passes through unabsorbed, and as it does, it pulls water into the intestines, which is why higher doses of magnesium oxide cause diarrhea and digestive discomfort. This also explains something important about magnesium research. Much of the historical research on magnesium was conducted using magnesium oxide. Researchers could not give large doses without causing digestive problems, and the absorbed amount was so small that meaningful physiological effects were difficult to detect. This is partly why so many older studies on magnesium showed limited results. The magnesium was not actually reaching the tissues in sufficient quantities. The form matters enormously, and there is a significantly better option. Magnesium glycinate, 245 to 330. Magnesium glycinate absorbs at approximately 80%, roughly 20 times better than magnesium oxide. It does not cause digestive upset at therapeutic doses, and it comes with an additional benefit built in. The glycinate component, The molecule magnesium is bound to in this form supports the production of a neurotransmitter called GABA. GABA is the nervous system's primary calming signal. It reduces neural excitability, supports the transition into sleep, and helps quiet the kind of racing, restless mental activity that keeps many adults over 60 awake at night, even when they are physically exhausted. This makes magnesium glycinate particularly well suited for people using magnesium to address sleep quality, anxiety, or nervous system tension, which is most of the people taking it. If you are currently taking magnesium oxide, switching to magnesium glycinate alone at the same milligram dose will meaningfully increase how much your body actually receives. To understand why magnesium deficiency produces the symptoms it does, it helps to understand one specific thing about how your brain regulates itself. Your nervous system operates through a balance between excitation and calm. One set of signals activates neurons, sharpening focus, heightening alertness, driving thought and reaction. Another set quiets them down, allowing the brain to rest, transition into sleep, and recover overnight. Magnesium plays a direct role in the calming side of that balance. It acts as a cofactor for the receptors that help wind down neural excitation. When magnesium is adequate, your brain can shift from an active state into a restful one. When magnesium is low, that calming mechanism becomes less effective. Neurons stay more activated than they should. The brain continues running when it should be quieting. What does that feel like? A restless, alert sensation at bedtime, despite being tired. Thoughts that will not slow down. Light, fragmented sleep. Waking in the early hours and being unable to fall back asleep. Muscle tension, particularly in the jaw, shoulders, and calves. Occasional palpitations. A sense of irritability where small things feel disproportionately aggravating. These are all consistent with an overactivated nervous system that lacks sufficient magnesium to regulate itself properly. There is a useful distinction worth understanding between two patterns that produce very similar symptoms but have somewhat different profiles. The first pattern is driven primarily by elevated stress hormones. People with this pattern tend to carry weight around the abdomen, have higher morning blood glucose, experience immune-related issues, and notice that stress visibly worsens their symptoms. The second pattern is driven more directly by neural overactivation, the magnesium-related mechanism I just described. People with this pattern tend to feel exhausted but wired at bedtime specifically. They may grind their teeth or clench their jaw during sleep. They frequently experience restless legs, that uncomfortable urge to move the legs that disrupts sleep. And they respond to magnesium quickly, often within hours of taking an adequate dose, because addressing the neural mechanism produces relatively rapid results. In practice, many people have elements of both, and here is the important point. Both patterns respond to magnesium. The cortisol-driven pattern may take several days of consistent supplementation to show improvement. The neural overactivation pattern often responds within a day. Either way, the intervention is the same. Adequate magnesium in an absorbable form, taken consistently. Here is something most people never learn from their doctor. Standard blood tests are poor indicators of magnesium status. Only about 1% of the body's magnesium is in the blood. The rest is stored inside cells, primarily in bone and muscle tissue, and a large portion is bound to energy-producing structures inside cells where it is essential for generating cellular energy. When blood magnesium drops, the body compensates by releasing stored magnesium from bone to maintain the blood level. This means blood tests can appear normal even when tissue stores are significantly depleted. A published study found that 50% of people confirmed to be magnesium deficient by tissue biopsy had normal blood magnesium levels on standard testing. This matters practically because many people ask their doctor about magnesium, get told their blood levels look fine, and conclude they do not need more. The blood test was not measuring the right compartment. If you have symptoms consistent with magnesium deficiency, poor sleep, muscle tension, restless legs, anxiety, frequent cramps, a normal blood result does not rule it out. Magnesium deficiency is genuinely widespread, and several factors specific to modern life make it difficult to maintain adequate levels even with reasonable dietary habits. Modern agricultural soil contains significantly less magnesium than it did several decades ago. Fertilizers that prioritize crop yield do not replenish trace minerals, meaning many vegetables and grains contain less magnesium than the same foods grown a generation ago. Caffeine increases urinary magnesium excretion, so does alcohol. So does chronic psychological stress, which increases the rate at which magnesium is consumed by the nervous system. Regular exercise, while beneficial overall, increases magnesium demand substantially, particularly intense or sustained exercise. And medications commonly prescribed to older adults, including certain diuretics, proton pump inhibitors used for acid reflux, and some blood pressure medications, can significantly reduce magnesium absorption or increase its loss through the kidneys. The result is that maintaining adequate magnesium through diet alone is genuinely difficult for many adults over 60, particularly those with any of these factors present. Here is what the research and clinical practice actually supports for people trying to achieve a therapeutic effect, not just avoid deficiency. For general sleep support and nervous system calm, a starting dose of 300 to 400 milligrams of magnesium glycinate taken in the evening, 1 to 2 hours before bed, is a reasonable and well-tolerated starting point for most adults. For more significant symptoms, chronic insomnia, frequent muscle cramps, persistent anxiety, restless legs, higher doses are often needed to begin replenishing depleted stores. Some clinical protocols use 600 to 800 milligrams daily, divided into 2 doses, one midday, one in the evening, to improve absorption and maintain more consistent blood levels throughout the day. One clinical group noted that a minimum of 600 milligrams daily should be maintained for at least 1 month before drawing conclusions about effectiveness, since tissue stores take time to replenish even when absorption is good. Higher doses than this have been used safely in supervised clinical settings, but significant increases beyond 800 milligrams daily are worth discussing with your physician first, particularly if you have kidney disease, which affects the body's ability to regulate magnesium excretion. Start at a moderate dose. Give it a genuine trial of 4 to 6 weeks at a consistent dose before evaluating. And track specific symptoms: sleep quality, cramp frequency, jaw tension, restless legs, rather than relying on a vague general sense of whether you feel better. Magnesium glycinate is well tolerated by most adults and has a strong safety profile. The body excretes excess magnesium through the kidneys under normal circumstances. However, people with kidney disease or significantly reduced kidney function should not increase magnesium intake without medical guidance because impaired kidneys cannot regulate magnesium excretion effectively and excess levels can become problematic. If you are on any prescription medications, it is worth a brief conversation with your pharmacist before substantially changing your magnesium intake, as magnesium can affect the absorption of certain medications, including some antibiotics and thyroid medications, when taken at the same time. For most healthy adults over 60 without kidney disease, magnesium glycinate at appropriate doses is one of the safest supplements available. Let us bring this together. If magnesium has not worked for you, the most likely reasons are: the dose was too low to produce a therapeutic effect, the standard label dose was designed to prevent deficiency in healthy people, not to address active symptoms, or the form was poorly absorbed. Magnesium oxide delivers only a small fraction of its stated dose to your body. The solution is straightforward. Switch to magnesium glycinate. Start at 300 to 400 milligrams in the evening. If your symptoms are significant, work with your doctor to trial a higher, divided dose over 4 to 6 weeks. If your primary symptoms are restless legs, jaw tension, or inability to wind down at night despite exhaustion, you may notice a response within 1 to 2 days of reaching an adequate dose. If your symptoms are more cortisol and stress-related, allow several weeks of consistent intake before evaluating. A standard blood test will not reliably tell you whether you are deficient. Your symptoms are a more useful guide. Magnesium is one of the most important minerals in the human body. It is involved in over 300 enzymatic processes, including energy production, protein synthesis, nerve function, and muscle relaxation. When it is low, the effects are wide-ranging and often mistaken for other conditions. The frustrating reality is that most people who try magnesium and conclude it does not work were simply using the wrong form at the wrong dose for too short a time. The mineral was not the problem, the approach was. Now you have the information to do it differently. If this was useful to you, share it with someone you know who has been struggling with sleep, muscle cramps, or restless legs and has not found answers. It may be exactly what they needed. And if you want more honest, evidence-based health conversations built specifically for adults over 60, subscribe to this channel. We are here every week. Take good care, and I will see you in the next one.